Right, good evening ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to open the annual Parish Council meeting of Lanteglos Parish Council on the 23rd of May at 7 p.m. First item on the agenda is election of chairman. As you realise, the chairman has to stand down every year and the post offered. Therefore I am standing down. I'm available for re-selection should nobody else wish to stand. Over to you, Princess. Any nominations?
I propose you again, George.
I second that.
Votes, please.
Thank you very much, John.
Right, thank you very much. Right, now I have to accept the office and sign.
I'll bring it next time.
We'll bring it next time. As I've already welcomed you, public forum now. Members of the public may address the council prior to commencement of the meeting. Questions, please.
I've got to take all the rest of it.
Yes, please. Mr. Williams.
I've got one, John. I'm talking on behalf of Mrs. Callum at Pont, and also Miss Janet Alton at Watergate Pont, concerning the flood that they had, where the head of format promised that it would be done in 5 weeks. You were at the...
I was at the meeting, yes.
Yeah, well, that 5 weeks is gone and passed.
And it's still the same.
It's still the same. And we can't reinstate the port to the garage, because if you have another flash flood, it's going to happen the same again then.
Right, we shall chase up Adrian Drake, the head man, and Mark Brewster, who's the steward for the area, who should have phoned me for a meeting last week.
So it's about time it was done, John.
Yeah.
You've got Janet and Abe fear in the water in the back door. And Chris Allen can't reinstate the driveway until such time as it's done.
Well, you know as well as I do, Adrian assured us quite plainly
Within 5 weeks.
within 5 weeks. So we'll chase
That
that
he had to apply for a partial road closure.
But I'm just up the top there at Whitecross. There's actually a proper tarmacking lane machine that was dropped there today. So you never know.
This isn't the tarmac lane. They were going to reinstate the main drain completely.
Well, they weren't going
They'd run it through.
No, they were going to X-ray it. John.
X-ray, yeah.
But the thing is that the catchment area of the water coming from one drain to the other is full up.
Yeah, he was
And
going
it
to
wants
dig out the
digging
sump.
it out. That's
He was
right.
going to dig his sump out with a mini axe.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Until
the
that's
exact
done,
wording.
then get another downpour and we're going to be back in the
Back
same
square one.
situation.
Right. We shall chase that one up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, next questions, please.
Agenda AM08, minutes of meeting, annual parish council meeting, 18th of May. Surely that's 2015.
16.
No, the annual parish meeting,
The 18th of May one got backdated and it should have been the 30th.
This, no, that's right. This is
Yeah.
the annual parish council meeting, which was last year,
Yeah,
and I put 2016.
26th. I think we had that on the 30th May, if I'm correct. Is that right, Mr. Pat? Because we missed a week and have to go to the 30th.
Right, I'll check the date on.
We'll check the date on that one.
but this is the annual parish council meeting for 2016. You're
Yes,
presumably looking at the minutes for 2015, whether they were on the 18th of May or...
yes, I recognise that.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. And the other thing, AM09, appointments of members, you've got nothing against the Paul Royal Village Hall Committee. I thought Councillor Kelly was the official representative. I know it's coming up for re-election again, but he was there from part way through the year.
That's correct, yep. That is a typo and that will be...
No, it's not a typo. I didn't know who was on
Well,
the.
maybe.
I didn't know who was.
Apologies for that. Right, thank you very much. Next one, please. Election of Vice Chairman. Councillor Wall currently in the post, but he's assured me there should be a letter of his resignation in the post. And I spoke to him on the telephone, so we're looking for a Vice Chairman, please. Who would like to take the position.
Proposed for Sam.
I'll second that.
Yeah, show of hands. Right. Thank you, Adrian. Yes, please, Mr. Howell.
The annual minutes of the annual parish meeting, when is the official time that they get signed? Based on your agenda item here, it says to be signed in 2017, but at this year's annual parish meeting, the minutes weren't signed. We were told that they were signed by the parish council during the year. I'm just asking what's the correct procedure?
As we got an experienced clerk here, and I'm not experienced in that matter, I shall ask the clerk for an official.
Right, I have
Designation,
always had them
please.
signed at the meeting after the parish meeting. But I was told at another council meeting recently that that wasn't correct, that it should be signed the following year. Hence that amendment to the...
Point, I'm only just asking for information. I'm not complaining, but as this is different to what we were told at the annual parish meeting, I was just wondering which it should get.
Well, I
So
think,
that's
as I
fine,
said, it's
that's
been
fine.
corrected or I've been corrected.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Thank you.
And the only other thing I've got is there any development on the defibrillator at the Dinnick? And if not, are you going to be chasing it up? I notice it's not on the agenda.
That was going to be brought up under the minutes of the parish meeting, which I've got typed out here, and that will be brought forward under item
Right, fine.
55 2016 on the agenda.
Thank you very much.
Then the annual parish meeting, 9th of May 2016.
Yeah, it's going to be signed
No.
next year.
Do you want me to like me to read these minutes out before we forget them next year? And memories become distant? Or I read them out and I'll read them out next year. Up to you, gentlemen, who attended.
Is it going to be any different to the report you've given in a minute? Under administrative matters, annual parish meeting, members will receive a report on issues raised.
Well, we can clear two stones with one throw, can we? Two birds, one stone, right. Open the meeting at 7 o'clock, 3 members of the public present. The agenda's items welcomed every apologies for absence from all councillors. Minutes of the 2015 parish meeting were read out, but it was noted our website showed draft minutes only. The chairman then gave a brief description of ongoing road repairs, drainage problems within the parish. He informed the meeting of further discussions with neighbouring parishes regarding the Lensman's task of carrying out minor roadside hedging, ditch clearing, etc. This was followed by a question and answer session on various local topics. Item A, future parish meetings. It was suggested that a date of the next APM is arranged earlier for notification in the parish news. It was further suggested that letters should be sent to all local organisations with the date of the forthcoming APM. Parking signage. They would like the clerk to contact the relevant Cornwall Council Department regarding parking signage costs, i.e. use of self-adhesive signs is a cheaper alternative. C. Social/media policy. The question was asked, has the council issued any guidelines on the social media policy plus placement of these notices in the WI meetings? Now, the placement of the notices starts on the agenda. The social media policy is under review and will be up and running after we've reviewed it and approved it by the council. Public participation. The parish council, the PC, was asked to consider a proposal for a trial period of a second public participation at parish council meetings at the end of the committee session. Do you want to discuss it now and put it to the vote, or it comes up under another item?
I don't see what... They've never made a case for what it's going to achieve. If there's something that somebody wants to say, tell us before the meeting, because if they wait till the end, we can't tell us something relevant to what was on the agenda. We then have to wait a month before we can open the meeting and discuss this again. So to me, it's just that somebody in the public wants the last say.
Well, the problem is once you have a meeting in committee, once you've resolved it, you can't alter it for 6 months.
So, I think the stand stays, public participation at the beginning is for anything that's on the agenda or relevant to us that we need to know, so either speak up first or keep quiet.
Well, there's two chances. You've got the public participation with the agenda published a week before. You can bring it up under correspondence and write a letter beforehand, as we're open to emails up till I come down to this meeting. So there's two clear opportunities to bring any item to the council's attention for the discussion.
Other than it only being the former clerk of this council's way of doing things, having it at the end, is there any example that they've been able to give where another council does public participation?
Well, I've been online to NALC and CALC, and there's no other council in the county which runs two public in the country that runs two public participations. Public participation is only good practice, it is not statutory. So the council could scrub public participation if they wanted and go straight into committee. That is up to you councillors. If you're kind enough to give one session of public participation,
Sufficient.
it's sufficient.
Well, I propose you leave it the same as it is.
Yes, it's second.
Show of hands, please. Defibrillator. The parish council was asked for an update of the installation of the defibrillator at the Dinnick. Well, Norman Trebilcock will be chased up and asked what exactly happened, because it was left in his hands because he got to establish a Wi-Fi network at the Dinnick, where they intend to establish set the defib box. Item F, the last item was closed sessions. There was some discussion regarding disclosure of tender prices and the need to have discussions on tenders at closed meetings.
Why?
I'm not quite sure what that's about.
Well,
Standard
what do
practice.
you mean by that, Mr. Charman? Because you raised the questions.
I
You raised the questions.
raised-
Well, can you explain to the councillors
I
what you mean
raised
by
the
it?
question and I cited the example of the previous parish council meeting where, I can't remember what it was, you went into closed session to discuss prices for some particular item, and the comment I made was I quite understood when discussing people's salaries and things like that, they went into closed session, but I didn't understand, and the wording on the agenda was you were going into public session in the public interest, in the interests of the public, why the public couldn't be told that for the specification issue, builder A price X pounds, builder B price Y pounds, and builder C price Z pounds. That's the only point I asked as to why, how it was in the public interest that things like that were discussed in private and the public weren't aware of the prices. That's the question I asked.
I think it's in the public interest. There's two clear people here tonight that have been wasting parish council and our local community time. They should be ashamed of themselves.
Can we less... thank you, Mr. Right.
The thing is, contractors tender for the work anonymously to that extent that they don't. We're not sharing their price. Yes, we do it. Tender A, tender B, tender C. But if a member of the public, through whatever reason, managed to suss out who A, B, and C are, our minutes show tender A, B, C at the end. But in discussion, if somebody went away from this meeting and said, "Well, actually, I know who those people were," I think it's our duty to give them,
Clause of confidentiality.
Well, that's it. There is, perhaps I'm wrong in saying that it's covered by our data protection. I would assume it is. But
I fully agree with you. I think people's business and business when they're tendering contracts is that it's for the council to decide, and it's their private business how they work it out.
and in this case, and for clarity to the public, the way the clerk reads it out is tender A, tender B, tender C, and we only get told the one that we pick, who the contractor is. The others, we don't actually disclose one, or the clerk doesn't disclose to us. But that's, that said, if we did know who they all were, we're still obliged not to go mouthing off who the people are who tender.
Anybody else, any councillor would like to come back?
We're elected to make decisions,
Yeah.
so what we do is surely down to us.
Down to us, yes.
So I can't see all the
You're all happy with how we go about tendering,
Yes.
the agreement of
Yes.
tendering it, how we discuss it?
Well,
And that said, I don't think the wording on that agenda has changed in quite, it's been that wording for longer than this council's been in, so
No one knows in the tenders themselves until the final decision has been made. It is then disclosed to the council whom has the contract. So I think having it beforehand and making it public beforehand and before the actual people know themselves by letter, I think it's not the done thing.
So it's proposal and secondary, and we'll keep it that way?
Yeah, I propose we do the same as I said.
Show of hands, please. Confidentiality. And finally, a member of the public thanked the parish council for its endeavours for the continued opening of 3 parish toilets, despite the furore going on around Cornwall and the failure of neighbouring parishes to open 1 toilet. I think really we've done extremely well over the past 3 years to keep 3 toilets open.
So the council has been active.
Yeah, thank you very much, councillors. That is the minutes of the parish meeting. Now, Mr Hill, Mr Chairman, have you got any alterations to these minutes, or are you willing to accept them?
Will be
Excuse me,
discussed
Chair.
in 2017.
Well, just asking you, before we forget, because a year is a long way away.
Excuse me, Chairman, can I just say, and we have been told this by the previous clerk on countless occasions, minutes belong to the council, not to members of the public.
Right.
It is for us to decide what those minutes stand as.
Yeah, but there was not a councillor here at that meeting.
You were.
I was, yes. I were, I was. I have to brush up on my English. Right, minutes for the next year. Thank you very much. Right, next is planning matters. Highway signage. Minute 44B 2016 refers. Where members to consider.
That's just
Right, slight hiccup on the computer. With members to consider response from Mr Greg Taylor, Cornwall Council, regarding members' request for a 50% contribution towards the cost of reinstating this signs. We've already had it brought up at the APM. So Edwina, Councillor Hannaford I should say, has been chasing this up, and the latest email she's asking again for a 50% reduction, the same as what Paul Power got. So all I can say is it's in council hands, that it's being looked at, and we'll report back when we hear anything different. Next is the Lensman scheme. The views of neighbouring parishes are awaited regarding employing a local lensman to carry out minor repairs to the highway. What's been talked about is that parishes get together as in the community network and try and sort out a local contractor who's got the qualifications and the necessary equipment to carry out minor tasks on the highway, i.e. fleecing the drains, clearing the drains, cutting back the roadside verges where necessary, minor repairs of potholes. But the main drawback to this scheme, and I say the Lensman scheme will only be minor repairs, is because of all the red tape and bureaucracy that goes along with it. One of these certificates needed is a Chapter 8, of which if you want to know what a Chapter 8 is, ask Adrian, because he's already got one. And when it comes on to repairing roads, then you go on to an acronym called EATON. And unless you've got a computerised program, in your system for electronic transfer and notice of road closures and everything, you stand no chance. Only the big companies can afford to have it. So the Linksman, as explained to me, is really just for extremely minor repairs on the roads.
The cleaner and change would help.
Help, yeah, yeah.
We've got problems already about that, haven't we? Damage that's caused by it.
And so notes, and Widows and Vietnam, Salas, Beconic, Namrath, Polint and Lou councils have been contacted, and Mr David Reid, the Community Link Officer for Liscardenu, has to include this on his next network panel agenda.
And he has agreed to do that.
And he's,
The only positive response I've had so far is from St Veep, who've agreed to become involved, subject to more details becoming available. Has somebody pulled a curtain? Stop me looking like I'm on the stage.
very far. You really have a better picture for the camera.
That's what I was afraid of.
That's it. You're highlighted.
Keep it in the dark.
Next is admin matters, item 59. Neighbourhood plan, members to receive a verbal report to include consideration of the draft terms of reference for the steering group. Councillor Moore.
I've sent around a draft document which Gillian has amended slightly, and one of the things that we have to do is put dates on it. So we need to go back and have a look at that in a moment. Did you have an opportunity to look at it as far as I've got with them? Because there's 4 pages, no there's more, there's a lot of pages of it. Is there anything in there glaring that we should not be doing? I have to say that I've looked at a lot of other parishes and town councils, their terms of reference. It seems to me that the more, not watertight, but the clearer you make them, the better you're going to get a group working together, because remembering these are not councillors, they are members of the public, giving up their time voluntarily to do that. So in a way, what's in the terms of reference is as much to protect them as to protect the council, because we, as the council, are still the qualifying body. We're the ones who get the money, we have to pay the money, and we are the ones who are responsible for getting this plan through. So the steering group has a lot to do, and that's what they should be getting on and doing. What I was asked, Julian, is that we can get out a decent set of these,
Okay.
so that we look at them, but what I'm asking is that, are you willing to ratify these and adopt them?
Yes. So, proposer and seconder. Do you want them ratified now?
Yes, I think we need to because of other things I'm going to be doing. I think I made it very clear that I had written to anybody who showed an interest by giving us their contact details in the questionnaires. I've had responses to that. Those people know that I have spoken to them. Nobody else knows who I've spoken to, because at the moment they're still covered by the Data Protection Act, so I can't, it would be wrong of me to tell you who they are at the moment. But the first meeting that we have, that is when those people will come together as part of that group. Now the other thing that we need to do, because one of the things that was in here is how many councillors we want to be, or we want appointed onto that steering group. And, you know, having said that, do we agree that 10 members is enough of the steering group? Because we can always go on later on. That's in there.
Trouble is, the bigger the animal, the more onerous it gets, doesn't it?
I completely take your point, John, and I would agree with that. That's why I said 10, and is it 2 or 3 councillors? And who should they be?
Because considering myself and the vice chairman were ex officio, weren't we?
You and the vice chairman you're ex officio members of anything, even of any of the working groups, when we get around to setting those up.
I think there are too many members of council, if people think we're trying to steer them.
Yes.
The minimum we can get away with, or, you know,
Well, if we said 2,
yeah, that's.
So I'd say we're, in the case of John and myself, then being ex officio, if it was just you, and then it would be either me or John, wouldn't it, rather than
that would work. Are you happy with
unless
that?
I'm happy with that. I mean, I'm quite to come and listen and see what's going on, but obviously just as a public member of the public, not to be as a member of
Yeah.
council.
Mm.
But I think,
You have done a heck of a lot of work and spent a heck of a lot of time on it. So
I've had enforced leisure, I think.
It's better that you steer everybody in the right direction,
Yeah.
and you would know then appropriately how many,
Yeah.
you would find beneficial to
Yeah.
sit with you.
Because one of the things that's in there is that we're not going to say to the steering group, this is your chairman, this is your vice chairman, it's up to them to get together and say, we would like so-and-so and take it from there.
it's everybody's documents, not ours, and that's what we're trying to.
We are setting up the terms of reference and we have to ratify them. And this is good practice in any other council that's going along this path. You can't function and you can't just get a group together unless they know that they've got parameters within which they're going to work.
So the council's happy that myself and Adrian sit as ex officio. Councillor Moore is setting up the steering group, and you're happy that there's enough councillors on it already.
Yeah, I mean,
I think so.
definitely I propose that. Yeah.
Second,
Thank
please.
you.
I'll second it.
Show of hands, please. For approve.
I've already approached Gillian because, again, I'm aware of how other councils do this, or other steering groups do this. When I went to Lou, those meetings are serviced by the clerk, so that all the minutes, all the papers are prepared. It isn't down to a working group to have to go away and think, what on earth am I going to do with these? There is somebody else who is going to take on that work, and Gillian is prepared to do that if it doesn't fall on a day when she's at another council. Thank you.
That would be wonderful.
Do we don't have to...
No, that's it. We've sorted out. Any more?
Right, what else is in that minute? Yeah, that's fine. Gillian has done a lot of the amendments to this, and it's making sense of my English as much as anything else and tidying up the grammar. We have not yet got the money because we're going through this delightful process with an organisation called Groundwork, who actually hand out the money, and it's called due diligence, which is where they want to know things about us that I thought, why? So it's going through, where's your bank account? Because that's where the money's coming, you can understand that. Who are the signatures on the bank account? Are you covered by insurance? Yes, we are a parish council. And there are various things like that that we have to answer. It's trying to talk to some very nice people in Birmingham isn't always easy. We're getting there. And then the money goes in. As you know, I've got quotes for analysing the questionnaires, the website. Both of those came in under budget. I'm still waiting to get out of Cornwall Council a quote from them for doing a housing needs survey, which looks as though it's going to come in slightly over budget. That's not going to be a problem because of the under budget on the others. There's also a figure of money in there for hiring a hall and the printing and all the rest of it there. So what we're going to get is the initial tranche out of the 9,000 that we're entitled to bid for is 2,500. And we've got to spend it within 6 months of getting it. You know, so it's full speed ahead. No problem.
Is that it? Adrian, have you got anything on there?
Well, no, I was going to ask the question though, is there any way of trying to provisionally think of a date at the moment, or are we subject, for a meeting, are we subject to?
I spoke to Mary Collins, who does the bookings for White Cross Village Hall, and asked her about a Tuesday or a Thursday in the week of the 6th of June. We could have the Tuesday the 7th, or we could have Thursday the 9th. I've written to those people and said, look, this is where we think we're going. And after that, they will fix their meetings and they will decide where they want to meet.
So the first one will be one of those 2 days.
Yes, yeah, and it looks at the moment as though it's going to be the 9th. I would hope to have at that meeting David Reid, who's known for quite a lot tonight. He's the neighbourhood planning development officer as well as the million other things he does.
So that will be at 7 p.m.
Yes, yeah.
Whitehall.
At Whitehall Village Hall.
And Gillian be able to make it for a busy schedule.
I can certainly make the Tuesday, but I do have another meeting in Crown, which is the other end of the county.
Right,
on
okay.
Thursday.
Right, well, I'll have to see what people come back with. What about you?
I'm retired, I'm just chief cook and bottle washer.
Thank you. Right, so that's where I am with that at the moment. Is there anything I can tell you more about all this stuff I've got? It's already running into 2 lever watch files.
Right, no more questions for councillor Moore on the...
Okay.
Next.
Yeah, there is one thing, and it's really important. As I said, in the terms of reference, we have to give a date when we resolved to make the plan. We've talked about steering groups, we've talked about surveys, questionnaires, which is all woven round this business of, yes, we are developing a plan, and we've been doing this for well over a year. So I think I need a resolution, John.
So I'll ask the clerk, can we make a resolution on this neighbourhood plan now?
Yes, yes.
Will it be on the agenda?
For today.
If you're quite happy, councillors are happy?
Yeah.
So, proposal please.
Yeah. It's in order that we can finish these terms of reference. I have to have, we need that day. Thank you.
Can you make the
Just
proposal?
today, as of today. then.
As of
Can
today.
you make the proposal please?
Yes.
How do you wish it worded?
Yes. I'm asking for the date for that we resolved to make a neighbourhood plan is the 23rd of May 2016.
Seconder please. Show of hands please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item B, annual parish meeting, we've already discussed. Next is item 60, correspondence and documents not covered elsewhere on the agenda.
I don't think I've got anything. No, I haven't got anything at all.
Nothing at all. Not even that email from
Well, I was
a chat
sorry,
group,
I forgot.
a chat with a Dicko, with an email address called Dicko. Believe it or not, we don't know whether to consider it a wind-up. It's got a number, and the email address is dicko01726 gmail. So if anybody knows who it is, please. We can't understand whether it is a wind-up or it's someone with a genuine question. However, the answer to the question, whoever this person, be it on the internet or wherever he lies, the answer to the question is the signage is being looked at. And Gillian will be forwarding a response.
We might get in touch with Mr. Harris.
Well, it could be, that's another question. Next item, item 62, closed session. In the view of the special confidential nature of the business about to be transacted, it is advisable in the public interest that the press and the public be excluded, and they are instructed to withdraw. I'm tripping over my tongue here. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.